title customizable card game, and it's called Forgotten Myths. And did we mention this one last time, Roy?
I don't think we did. We concentrated on surveillance.
Good. Yeah, it's called Forgotten Myths. It's a customizable card game for Linux. It also works on Android, and it's a really great little game, a lot like Magic the Gathering, if anybody played that. It's not open source. It is a proprietary title. However, the reason I mention it is because the developers have developed for every platform, but they've also included Linux, which is a very nice touch. That obviously shows us quite a few players out there who have Linux desktop who do want to get involved. You can check that out on my site as well. That's been linked to. It's quite complicated. It's certainly not a Candy Crush type game, so it's going to take a bit of your time to learn the rules, but it's horrendously good fun, and you can play it online against other people, and it's free, so check that one out. And I'll throw it back over to you for the next topic.
Yeah. Have you had any experience with Good Old Games, GOG?
No.
Heard of it. So this apparently was ported to, I think it was announced that it would be ported imminently to Linux. Now, I'm not sure how this relates to some of the other frameworks for game distribution and development. But basically what this means, this announcement, literally hundreds, if not thousands of games, not very old games, but old games, will be available for a person who wishes to run them on a GNU/Linux system or a Steam machine or whatever it is that's based on a platform that's free software, possibly with free hardware as well. So this is another bit of very major news. It's about a month old now, and I have to say that the only kind of downside to all this is every free open source game that I know of really struggles to get media attention right now, even within the GNU Linux community of blogs, news sites, whatever. And even if they do exist and they have a new release, nobody would really want to bother with them because they get all very excited about the latest and greatest games. Now, it's not actually the FSF has made an announcement about news from Valve. I think it was a year and a half ago, 2 years ago. I think it was 2 years ago. The announcement came. Ever since then, we've had literally hundreds of games added. This past year, the growth I think has been something like 900% in the number of games. It's really quite an amazing growth, and you can really see there is commitment to it. However, a lot of the games that will be, should we say, accepted and embraced openly do not give you access to the source code. The drivers themselves, it's a bit of a mixed bag because the graphics drivers will be absolutely essential to running those polygon drawing games. And if the drivers themselves remain proprietary, it means that yes, you might have Linux underneath, and you might have GNU, and you might have your desktop, but everything that will deal with the game, including the rendering of the stuff on the screen, will be handled by completely proprietary code, just blobs that you have no access to. And it's kind of okay, depends what your goal is. But at the same time, I wouldn't be vocal about it. So I kind of have a category of the games, and I put all the
For me, I've always put games into a separate category. We can't. There is no argument that open source software, as far as utility is concerned, and the desktop, it's been offers incredible advantages to everybody. That's both users and developers, and there's no question that. I think one of the problems that open source gaming has is that the competition. If you look at the proprietary gaming market, for example, it's absolutely saturated. I mean, it's now even at a stage where even the consoles are getting in on the old retro gaming. So not only do you have all the new console releases and all the new sort of latest titles, you've also got them producing emulators or emulation for all the older titles as well. So the market's absolutely saturated. So before you even get off the starting line, you've got to produce something which is pretty big to get people's attention. And these days, when you're looking at what the average gamer can play, I mean, there's so many proprietary titles, or the freemium ones, where they support in-app purchases, which hook a lot of people into the games without having to pay anything initially. And then when they want to continue on or get that bit further, that bit quicker, they have to end up forking out money. Now, with all that going on, and with all that going on, regardless of what's being produced in the open source world, it's very difficult to compete. It would have to be incredibly special to be noticed. I mean, there's a couple of titles which stand out for me, which I've been following for a long time. But again, even though they've stood out to me and I've been very interested and I've played them, they're still far from being complete, which is another problem in the open source world. We don't, unlike a proprietary game where it gets sent to the user as a complete package and ready to go, and sure, it might have a few bugs or errors that need ironing out, but it's a ready to go package. With open source gaming, it's very rare. I certainly haven't come across.
I would say the opposite. Proprietary package would run only the target platforms, and it would run at a certain time. Whereas the open source one, even if it's not officially ported to a platform, you could find somebody who ran the source code or compiled the source code for another platform. So the source code actually gives you more versatility and the ability to run on more places. Whereas the proprietary game might work very well, but only because they target a specific architecture, specific product, specific brand. And that's it.
And this is a problem, you see, isn't it? Because the average gamer or the person who plays games has no interest in the majority of the source code or programming or computing. They play games.
Sure. Okay, so if a game comes out PlayStation 3,
yep,
and you don't have a PlayStation 3, I think you'll be pretty upset. You
say, that's the whole point.
To get a PlayStation 3.
Yeah.
So that's not a very good experience. If it was free software, maybe it would be available or possible.
There's no doubt it would be better, but the fact is it would never. It doesn't happen like that. And like I say, the issue with the open source gaming is when you buy your Grand Theft Auto, your Call of Duty, you put it in. It's a complete game. It's ready to roll. Like I say, they may add a few little bits and pieces a bit later on, or whatever, but it's ready to go. And the problem with open source gaming is it's an onward stage of development. The game I mentioned, which is very close to my heart, is the game called Pioneer, which is actually the open source version of Elite 2 Frontier, which was a fantastic game on the PC and Amiga that I played on. It's basically the follow-up to Elite. Absolutely fantastic, but that's still in development, and that's been running for 4 years, or even more probably. Now, with that type of, I'm dedicated to following that because I was a fan of the game. However, for the average gamer who wants to go out and play Grand Theft Auto and wants to be shooting their whatever straight away, they're not going to stick around for 4 years. And they've got these consoles right now, and this is why open source gaming in particular has such a problem, because it has to get through the adverts for Grand Theft Auto.
I'm not sure. So we have two sources of confusion here. I mean, the one thing is, being free doesn't mean you couldn't be commercial.
No.
Yeah. Well, wait. More important point here is different. Gaming is a very competitive market. If you hit a jackpot, you can make a lot of money. In the same way that the Harry Potter series of books was exceptionally profitable. And a lot of people, they hope to hit a jackpot. Same happens with singers. If you're like Britney Spears or Lady Gaga or whatever, you can make a reasonable living, especially if you're working for the labels, but they can actually live on that. But for the vast majority of singers and bands, they will never be able to even pay, for the rent using their music. Now, with games, all the games, as you saw with the Wii or with the Samsung Galaxy series, there's a lot of players, for instance, mobile phone manufacturers, designers, and they all hope to be one of those people who will give a big return to the investors by creating the next Galaxy series and making billions upon billions. But with games too, you have very few games that can succeed. Now, the problem that of competition is very, very, very great, also for proprietary games. So maybe you've got 1,000 proprietary games and a few dozens of free software games, free software, free games, whatever you want to call them. But among those 1,000 proprietary